Welcome back, guys, to Actually Anything. It's the podcast that's actually about anything. And today is my good friend, Shefik. We met a few years back, and I remember it was at this event in Times Square. It was 100 days out for the next Olympics. I think it was like the Winter Olympics?
Yeah, 2018 Winter Olympics.
It was that long ago, yeah.
In Pyeongchang, South Korea.
Right.
And that's where you met, a media event, where we met various athletes who were competing. Darius Rucker was there performing.
Oh, and the girl with the ukulele from America's Got Talent.
Yep.
Grace Vanderwall?
Yeah.
I think that's her name, yeah. And I remember I think I just went up to you, sorry about the helicopters, by the way. We're in like a war zone, and we're on Governor's Island, by the way. It's like a 10-minute ferry ride from Manhattan,
Yeah, this is literally the commander's house from the late 1800s.
Don't quote us on that, but
no, it is.
Oh, is it?
It is the commander's house.
I mean, this is definitely like one of the nicest buildings here. I mean, there's plenty of it. It's a very historic place. Mm-hmm. It's quite beautiful. But yeah, Shefik, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about what you do at NBC?
At NBC, well, I'm a technical lead at NBC. I currently lead a team of developers and for the Olympics, coincidentally. And right now we're engaging in the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo, which is actually postponed to 2021, which is today. But it's going on right now as we speak. And it's a wonderful event, and it took a lot of hard work to get us there. So I had a part in it to help bring it to fruition. And literally took thousands of people to make it happen. So I'm glad I finally got to this moment here.
Right. And it just premiered today. It just started.
No,
right?
yesterday.
Oh, yesterday.
Yesterday was the opening ceremony.
Right.
Where it's like the parade of countries. So all the athletes were competing. Due to COVID, not all the athletes were there physically in person like they typically are. But they did have all their countries representing. And they did something special where they had, holding the flag, they had a male and female representative from each country.
Oh, usually they don't do that, or?
Not so much,
Okay.
Historically, maybe not, but they wanted to make something special regarding that, and they really wanted to make a statement as far as the pride of the country, of Japan itself. They did a lot of unique things. They actually did something really unique, where I think it's about 1,500 drones or some large number like that went up in the sky during the ceremony, and it came together in a sphere, and they did a light show, with that.
Oh, that's
with
amazing.
All these drones in sync.
Oh, yeah? There you go. That's actually really awesome. That's definitely new, right? I don't think
It's new. It's new technology, right?
We should have flew here in a helicopter. They're flying all over the place. It's like, God.
Yes.
If you have PTSD from the war, this is not a place you would want to come to.
Well, literally, we're facing two cannons. You can't see on the camera, but right in front of us is one to the left and right. There's two cannons, literally. So this is
they're ready to fire. Too.
Yeah, this is the commander's previous house from the 1800s.
That's actually really dope.
And we're surrounded by a variety of different homes.
Yes.
It used to be like a military post and things like that.
It's basically a big museum here now. No one actually lives here anymore. I don't think. But, now, Shefik, you opted out of going to the Olympics this year, but you said the Winter Olympics is starting up early next year.
I didn't opt out, right? It's they choose who they want to take.
Oh, okay.
Right?
But you said you might go to the Winter one.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I am working the Winter one anyway.
Okay.
Right? Which is in 2022.
Where is that going to be?
Beijing, China.
Oh, all right.
So
the current one's in Tokyo right now.
Yeah, and then after that, next Summer Games is going to be in France.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Have we ever had Olympics here before?
Yes, we've had Olympics in the United States before. In Atlanta, I think was the last one.
And when was that?
Well, I think it might be in the 80s or something like that.
Oh, wow.
But the next one coming up is going to actually be in Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
I forgot the exact year, but it's maybe like 8 years or so out or something like that. But, we get it. And then we also had the Winter Olympics in the United States before, Lake Placid area in New York.
Oh, okay.
Where we're at. So
that's a perfect place for that.
Yeah. And we actually bid it for the Olympics in New York.
Did we?
Yeah, and we didn't get it.
Oh,
right?
really?
So they chose
Oh, okay.
Right.
You know, it's always been something I would love to cover one day, because I love shooting sports photography, and I feel like the Olympics is the biggest sporting event you could be a part of, right? So hopefully one day I could do that.
Well, it is feasible because all you have to do is put in a media request to begin to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So the only problem is that I don't have enough credibility. I feel like to just be like, oh hey, I feel like because any photographer could just do that then. If it's
credibility comes by having a camera, which you do have.
Okay.
Having your own show, which you do have.
Or technically, yeah, actually
yes.
anything, yeah.
As long as you have the quality to back it up.
All right. Well, I'll show them. I got the merch already too, so that I think that's
yes.
That's good enough for them, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But naturally, when you put in a request, there's different types of coverage tiers, right? Because you can cover the games. That doesn't necessarily mean you have access to the athletes, right? Because that's by request, and a lot of people request them depending on if they win, right? Obviously, or they're from a popular country. But those are feasible too, because before the games start, they actually have media outlets and events that go on.
That's cool.
Whether it's like a combined media event, which of course that's where we met, right?
Right, yeah.
The same thing, right? And that event, we had access to the entire USA team, the winter team.
Yeah,
they were all
yeah.
there, right? And that was one-on-one, conversations.
Oh yeah. I forgot that we got to talk to some of them. Yeah, I'm glad I introduced myself to you, because it was something as little as just going to an event like that where I was able to meet you. But if I never said anything, we wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Right. 5 years later.
Yeah, dude, that's oh my god. Wait, 5 years? 2018? Is that 5?
Yeah, it's been 4 years. 4 years.
Yeah,
5 years.
I think that's 4. Yeah,
4 or 5 years. Yeah.
But god damn, dude, that's crazy. Love your outfit, by the way.
Thank you.
Shefik, if there's one thing that he does, it's always styling and matching. Like let me tell you. Ever since we've met too, we've done a lot together. We one of the coolest things we've got to do is going to the PlayStation Theater, which is no longer available. But we got to see the Shorty Awards, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's a big media event for like influencers.
Yeah. So the Shorty Awards, I'm actually a judge for the Shorty Awards.
That's right.
And I've been a judge for several years now. Not only for the main event, which is actually what you go to meet for in person, and the Shorty Awards is particularly for people who are celebrating social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, social media campaigns that have made an impact, that have gone viral. All sorts of campaigns I judge. I can't disclose which ones I judge, but for various reasons. But it's very interesting to be a part of that. The other part I do is the Social Good Awards, which I'm also a judge, and that's also every year. So they had the main one, which is like primary social media ones. Then they have the Social Good, which is really for organizations that have done positive things with their influence, which is corporations. Maybe they did some campaign for healthcare reasons, or maybe they did something for getting people to vote. Things like that. It's some sort of agenda or something, nonprofit or something like that.
They basically honor a little bit of everything, even podcasters too.
Yeah. But I think they just changed the name recently for this year. It's called the Social Impact Awards, something like that. But it's still all the shorties, and I'm still part of that. So it's a great organization to be a part of.
Yeah, it was a little overwhelming because you wouldn't think you would see so many influencers in one room before like that, so it was definitely new to me.
It's an award show for them.
No, right. It was just it was very new to me, and it was almost like hard to believe I was even there.
Yeah, well, one of the meeting people I remember meeting was Backpack Kid.
Oh, Jesus.
So you remember him from Saturday Night Live.
He had these giant shoes on, like they were like this big. Remember that?
Yes.
I feel kind of bad because he was kind of like a one-hit wonder thing. Like he tried to do a rap album, I think, and that didn't really work out.
He released some songs. He's still out there. He's very active on social media.
Is he? Oh, okay.
He's very popular on TikTok, and he's into music still.
There you go.
And everything. But he's progressed. He's grown up. Yeah. So I remember like one of the questions I asked him, like, what were you, because, you know, we interviewed him, you know, there on the spot. And I asked him, well, what happens when you're going to grow up? Are you still going to be calling yourself Backpack Kid? And I think he said, well, I'll call myself maybe Fanny Pack Man or something like that. You know, so, but it was interesting. So,
yeah.
But
that's kind of funny, actually.
You know, and I remember it's like the first time we went together, I actually wore a silver suit.
You did?
Yes.
I have pictures of him. He looks insane.
So if you want to check it out, it's on Getty Images. So actually the paparazzi were there, and they're selling the photos for like $500 for that photo.
Holy, of you?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
So that's what Getty Images are licensed the photo.
Oh, and guess what,
there,
guys?
so.
Would Shefik get any of that? Probably not. And it's a picture of fucking him.
Well, it's paparazzi, you know,
Yeah.
and everything. So that's from there.
Speaking of Getty Images, I met one of their biggest photographers, Al Bello, at some event at the Garden once. And I was talking to him, you know, really cool guy. I followed him on Instagram and I checked out his website. He's covered the Olympics before, like a few times actually. And he honestly has like one of the best. He honestly has one of the best jobs. That's something I hope to get one day, you know. So what else is new, my man?
Well, we need to talk about Invocation.
Right.
You know, that's the show you helped me work on. So I have my own, you know, radio show. As you know, Shefik presents Invocation.
Right.
Right now it's on 23 radio stations around the country, syndicated.
Wow.
There's also an accompanying video series because I require everyone to tape their interviews on video. So the videos actually go worldwide, and they're short video segments, like 2-3 minutes each interview segment. So first of all, it's on Amazon Prime in multiple countries, in the United States, United Kingdom, Japan, and Germany. And actually in Japan and Germany, actually translated into those languages.
Yeah, you're literally
subtitles.
worldwide, man.
Yeah. I'm also in literally 20 states around the country, in the United States, actual physical locations. So like there's some Dunkin' Donuts locations, Jersey Mike Subs, there's Mohegan Sun Casino,
right.
There's a bunch of doctor's offices, car dealerships like Subaru dealerships, all that kind of stuff.
Where you could listen to your show,
So a lot of these establishments and buildings have lobbies, or in the restaurants they have TV screens. As you've seen that, you know, you go to a restaurant, you see TV screens. So I'm on that network in a lot of these establishments.
You know, I don't think I knew that. I don't think you've told me that before.
Yeah. So I'm in there,
really
and I'm in these 20 states, you know, locations. So, and so there's a lot. Due to COVID, obviously, a lot of the businesses were closed down due to COVID, but there was still a lot open because I actually have a lot of doctor's offices.
Right.
So, you know, I was still out there visibly. Well, one of the main things I kind of lost during the COVID, and hopefully I'll get it back when it gets open again, but it was Webster's Bank Arena, which is in Connecticut, and it's like a 10,000 seat arena. It's like all the concession stands.
Wow.
My content was being played while people are waiting. They go to the games, they go to hockey games or whatever, and they see my content on loop. You know, I'm on the loop with other content providers too, but it's every day. You know, I get that, and so that's just one of the types of outlets. Because outside of that, it's on, you know, on Roku. It's on obviously social media.
Oh, like the Roku TVs?
Yeah, Roku TV. It's everywhere. Amazon Fire TV. I'm on Amazon
that's
Fire.
great, man.
I'm on Viewed OS, which actually powers 80% of all the smart TVs in the world.
I didn't know that.
So that's actually worldwide. I think even as far as Antarctica has
yeah?
content.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it really has a.
You know, it's funny because in Antarctica, there's not a huge population, so you know, being able to like listen to content out there is probably what they do for the most part. You know,
Well,
they need stuff to.
Yeah, but here's the interesting
spend
thing.
too much time outdoors.
Those type of areas, obviously, there's challenges with technology as far as Wi-Fi. As what we do
true,
here,
yeah.
Right. And same thing with like Alaska, right? They still watch VHS tapes,
right,
in those areas too. So they take the content with them and
Oh,
watch it.
okay.
So I think one of the last blockbusters in the country might be up there, kind of thing. I read some documentary, watched some documentary about it, and it's kind of interesting because that's how they still get their content in a sense. When we've kind of progressed, obviously they're there because of other technical reasons, whether it's for oil reserves or scientific research for the environment. That's why people are there. You know, what is interesting during their off hours, it's like that's their source of entertainment.
Yeah,
is to use lesser forms of kind of this technology just to get it delivered to them. Right. But I'm part of that system. If they decide to watch it, you know, that's not to say they do watch it. I don't know.
Can you see how many people are tuning in? Or
yeah, I have various stats from a variety of ways, but obviously due to privacy reasons, things like that, I don't know the exact person.
Gotcha.
Right? You know, I may know the areas, right, the countries, or stats overall to kind of aggregate. So I have a sense of the stats overall. But I can tell you it's very positive.
Good.
You know, this is actually the 5th.
Yeah, you need feedback.
Yeah,
you know?
this is actually the 5th anniversary of the show.
So Shefik and I, we just moved. We're still on Governor's Island.
Yes,
we
Governor's
moved.
Island.
Yeah, we maybe moved like 100, 200 feet away, where we're not that far from where we originally were filming. And yeah, let's lead off right from what you were talking about all the special guests you have on the show.
This is the 5th anniversary of my show.
Right.
Shefik Presents Invocation. I launched it on July 4th, 2016, and as of July 4th, 2021, starts the 5th year. So all throughout the year, I'm going to be making special announcements. I'm going to do recaps of all the guests and the people who actually helped build the show, such as yourself. Recaps.
Oh, wow. Oh, thank you.
But some of the people I had on there, just to name a few people, from legendary artists such as Dionne Warwick, who's been on the show, Melba Moore. There's the Platters, Sonny Turner, who's a former lead singer of the Platters, which is really going back because we're talking 1950s.
Right.
You know, historic, you know, generation there. So, and I have all genres of music. I've had Tito Puente Jr., who's obviously the son of Tito Puente, mambo band leader, and I've had Lawrence Jubler, who is a former lead guitarist from Paul McCartney's Wings. You know, he's a Grammy Award winner. I've had Billy Sherwood, who's actually his godson is Milton. He's the godson of Milton Berle. So Milton Berle is his godfather, and he's also the bass player for the band Yes. And he also played for Asia too, the band Asia. So which is progressive rock.
I helped you one day in Jersey shoot for the man who wrote the song Juicy Fruit,
yes.
which is well known because the notorious B.I.G. He sampled the song, and you know, as we know it today.
So the story is James Matume. He has the band and group Matume. So we actually not only interviewed him, but also Tawatha Agee, who's the lead singer.
Right, in that song.
Right, too. And the song is called Juicy Fruit, and for Notorious B.I.G., he sampled it, and his song's version is called Juicy. Right. Which is actually very popular. And that song has actually been sampled many other times.
Oh, has it?
It's one of the most sampled songs in hip-hop history and
I don't think a lot of people know where the song originally even came from, that it came from this guy, Matume, you know?
Well, he knows, because he's getting his royalty checks.
Well, true, yeah.
And James Matume is a legendary producer in his own right, too. He's produced people like Mary J. Blige. He actually coincidentally worked on the Olympics.
Oh, he did?
Too, years ago. This was in the 1990s.
Planes are back.
Yeah. Planes are back.
That's like a military copter, too. That's not even just a helicopter.
Well, we are near military grounds also. So.
Is this technically military grounds? Or?
I don't think it's military anymore. It's
no?
1800s.
Oh,
but, we are near military installations.
Right.
That are always nearby New York City to begin with.
You know, Shefik has also had interviews with some royalty.
Yes.
You want to elaborate? And I've helped him with that too.
Yes.
Princess Long Long? Is that her name?
Princess Long Long wasn't actually interviewed. So what happened was I met Princess Long Long to begin with.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you the story. What happened is kind of interesting. This is the night I met Nettie. So Nettie Smith is also, you know, part of our team production crew. So I was there to actually interview the Crown Prince of Italy. You know, his name is Prince Emmanuel. So he came to New York City, and I interviewed him, and it was part of an event, a media event that a magazine was doing, an Italian magazine, and it was part of a carnival. So Italy celebrates Carnival, which is sort of like a costume party and celebration kind of thing.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
So they had like a competition part of it. So with me, I already interviewed him earlier in the day. So I just stayed out there for the event. While I was in the general audience kind of thing, I just happened to sit down on a chair, and Nettie Smith was sitting right next to me. Obviously, I didn't know who he was this time. This is how we met. So I just randomly sat down next to someone, and we hit it off, and we spoke.
Yeah, he's a
and he
good
told
guy.
me about his work that he does in music. He's a musician, a bass player, a singer, and he helps other acts, things like that. So we collaborated on a number of things on my show, and he's actually been a guest on the show. So while the competition was going on, I was randomly taking photos because I had still my camera with me. So I was taking photos of people who were there, interesting costumes, that sort of thing. So there was one woman in particular who had on this costume with wings, all white, everything, and it turned out to be Princess Long Long, right? So I didn't realize who she was, right? She introduced herself, right? And I think she introduced herself as like Princess Dragon or something like that, because actually when she's wearing that outfit, that's what the dragon outfit is called, kind of thing.
That's sick.
But it was loud in the venue, so I didn't understand everything we're saying, right, kind of thing. But she did ask me if I could introduce her to the Crown Prince. So I was like, sure, right, because I just met him.
Yeah, I mean,
interview him.
why the hell
you know,
not, man?
doing all that.
Big opportunity.
But he was behind the gated VIP area, right? And she saw I had access there, right, because I had access to the whole area. So I was like, sure, right? So I got security to allow her to come in with me. And I went up to him, it's like, here's an admirer of what you're doing. Let's take a photo, because I have the camera, take a photo. And I took the photo, and coincidentally, the person next to us was the Prince of Yugoslavia, who's actually the cousin of the Prince of Italy. So that's the way they were all there, right? I didn't realize who he was at the time, but what ended up happening was that after I took the photos, I sent it to Princess Long Long. She was like, okay, send me the photos. I'm going to send it to Chinese media. You know, she's a Chinese woman. So she's like, I'm going to send it to Chinese media, get it published. She ended up winning the competition because by me giving her access back there, she was able to just go on stage also and compete with her costume.
Wow.
And since it was a great costume, she actually won the whole thing. So it was just a big coincidence that, you know, I helped her get back there. She ended up winning and get access to everyone. So when I gave her the photos afterwards, days later, she was like, okay, well, it got published in China Press newspaper. So China Press newspaper is like one of the largest newspapers.
Did they give you photo credits?
Yeah, well, they gave me credit.
Okay.
Kind of thing. So that's how I realized that the Prince of Yugoslavia was in the photo, sort of photo bombing in a sense.
Oh,
so the photo is kind of historic for me because I got 3 royalties in the photo.
From 3 different countries.
From 3 different countries.
Yeah.
And, you know, so we hit it off, me and her. We have a interesting conversation since then, and I've known her for years now. And one day she called me up and was like, I have Prince Garios coming to New York City.
Oh.
Right? So Prince Garios is the heir to the Gassanese kingdom.
Now, is that the interview I helped you with?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So
I remember meeting him.
Yeah. So she was like, he's coming down to meet with delegates from the United Nations, and she wanted me to be there to document that and also interview him for my show.
Right.
So we set it up, and sure enough, he did the seconds for my show. And right after the taping for my show, we also did another taping afterwards. Remember, he presented her with the special award, right? That award was actually knighting her, proclaiming her as a Dane into his world order, right? That's what that certificate was, and the shield that they gave. So after it was done, remember that she gave us some gifts, right?
She did.
She gave us. She handed me a piece of lace cloth with a ribbon on it, and it was customary with the Chinese culture where she had some rose petals in it, and I still have it to this day. And I cherish it, and she handed you.
Right. So during this interview, I was recording also with my camera,
Yes.
and we were in this building. I remember there being these magazines. I don't know what was going on. I guess I got. I don't want to say this, but I guess I was getting like a little bored. I'll admit. And there was this magazine here, and I was just like, "Oh, that's cool." It was like a travel magazine. I was like, "Oh, this is a nice place." Whatever the heck I was looking at. And yeah, we all got these little gifts, and my thing didn't have the pedal in it, right? And we were making so many jokes. We were like, "Oh, she hates me. Like she wants my head. Like I'm never gonna be allowed there."
Well,
Like you know.
I mean, the reality of it is like obviously, for you to be reading magazines during an interview when you're supposed to be
What a
manning the
princess,
camera,
like.
you know, and you're in the presence of royalty, that's disrespectful.
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
clear,
it
right?
was, it was.
And there was also delegates from the United Nations that were there too. And not to say that the interview was boring. What he's saying is that he has short attention span. Right?
I guess that's true.
Because there was a lot of historic artifacts that was being mentioned during the interview that was very important and relevant. And these are like once in a lifetime type of interviews, you know, to have exposure to and to be in the presence of people like that. So, you know, flash forward a few years later, I've still kept in touch with all of them.
Right.
And I was talking to Prince Garrios, and I invited him to participate in a PSA, you know, public service announcement for autism. You know, because every year I help support autism awareness.
Right, you do Strut for Autism with the girls.
So it's
model.
you know, Strut is the organization, their event that they do, Morgan Marie Michael Foundation.
Right.
It's a nonprofit with Alyssa Lego and Amanda Wachowski.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually MC the events. I'm there in person to MC it. And throughout the year, I collect PSAs. As I'm doing my interviews for my show, I ask the celebrities and special guests to shoot PSAs, like short 20-second, 30-second things.
Yeah.
So Prince Garrios was one of the people that I had do that. So it was a coincidence that he was going to Washington, D.C. around the same time we were doing the event in New Jersey. So I was like, why don't you come to New Jersey and come to the event in person and meet everyone? And then he was like, okay, yeah, he'll come down. And also he wants to honor me with a knighthood.
Right. I almost forgot to say, when I was introducing Shefik before, I should have said Sir Shefik.
Yes, you should have said Sir Shefik.
It's almost like a tongue twister, Sir Shefik.
So yeah, he actually came down and honored me with the knighthood at the event itself, and he came down having the certificate and
I'm gonna put this on
and the jewels of the order,
right?
You know, things like that. So I've had that title for several years now, but as of this year, coincidentally again, I've been bestowed with a second knighthood.
Oh yeah, you told me that too.
So the second knighthood is actually from the kingdom in Ghana, and basically it's a ruling kingdom that's still there, the Sefwi Ming kingdom area, and they're doing a lot of positive work, you know, over there, where they're trying to strengthen the community. They're building infrastructure, buildings, schools, things that are really basic needs for their well-being in society over there. So they're always looking for support. So and I'm always an advocate, you know, for that. So I'm honored, you know, to receive that second knighthood. But with the second knighthood, since Ghana used to be, you know, part of the British Empire, they actually want to respect the Queen's sense of knighthood. Yeah. So I don't have the Sir title with the second knighthood.
Oh no. Oh,
you know,
okay.
My title for the second knighthood is actually most excellent.
That's pretty cool too. I mean.
So you can either call me most excellent Shefik. You know,
I like Sir better.
Sir, or a combination of the two. You know, because I am do have the rights for both. You know, in a sense.
Didn't you once get an award from the president?
Yes, and I have an award from the president So the way it is, it's the president's
By doing a lot of community
yeah,
service type
President's
stuff, right?
Volunteer Award. So
Right.
this was an award that's been around since President George Bush, the first George Bush. And you volunteer a certain amount of hours doing whatever volunteer work you want. You catalog that and you get awarded for it. And whoever's the sitting president at the time awards you this award. So when I actually won the award, President Trump was in
He was
office.
the president at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not to say that I got an award from President Trump. Necessarily, it was an award for the president's campaign.
Right.
That's already been there for decades.
Pretty awesome.
But since he is the sitting president, he has to sign the certificate and all that. So I actually have the signed certificate.
Okay. Yeah.
From. But it's still an honor because it's representative of the work, the body of work of chivalry and volunteerism, which I'm a strong advocate for, and especially in the media aspect, because that's what I do. I'm in media, so I give up my time, particularly in that aspect, right? That's where I feel I'm the most effective, right, in that sense.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome what you do, Shefik, honestly. I feel like not a lot of people get to say they've lived half a life that you have.
Well, I keep busy, and just say that the show overall has actually won over 40 awards.
Oh, it has it?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
Invocation has won over 40 awards since
Congrats,
2016. And there's more to come.
Plenty more.
Lots more.
And with
because,
my help, you'll get, come on.
Unfortunately, throughout the course of the past 5 years, several people have died who have actually been guests of my show and who have actually participated in a part of my show. So first and foremost, I want to acknowledge my sister. She actually passed away a few months ago. Well, actually a couple of months ago this year.
I'm so sorry. I didn't.
Yeah, so her name is Tony Knight. So basically, with me celebrating the 5th year of this anniversary of the show, I'm going to be dedicating this year in her honor and her memory.
That's beautiful.
She's been with me from the very beginning, obviously, not only for the show, but a lot of other endeavors throughout my entertainment career and media career. So I definitely wouldn't have been able to get to this moment without her support throughout the years. So I definitely want to acknowledge her and dedicate this year to her, for that.
I'm sure she's proud of you.
Yeah, thank you. So another person who passed away is Quentin Tarver. Quentin Tarver was, he played the choir boy in the movie Romeo and Juliet, that starred Claire Danes and Leonardo DiCaprio in the late 90s.
I've heard.
He actually did a remake of Prince's song When Doves Cry. So he's actually in the film singing it. And the song got released, and it was supported by Prince directly, because Prince doesn't actually give support to everybody. And it sold millions of copies, right?
Yeah.
So he recently died this year in a car accident, which is unfortunate. And
how old was he?
He was young. He was in his 30s. So when that happened, when he died, something interesting happened where, since I knew him, I've known him for like, very long time, 20 years probably. And with him being a guest on my show, I actually had some of the very last footage that he's ever done, interview-wise. And you've seen my show where we capture unique kind of stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we actually captured a story about the Prince, giving him permission for the song. So when he died, all the media outlets clamored to find things of him that are recent, because all they had was
So
when
have
he was
you
young.
shared that yet,
Well,
or are you waiting for the right moment?
They took it and shared and took it. So what ended up happening was, and this is how it is sometimes with the media, where they have a thing called fair use, right?
Yeah.
When it's fair use, if it's newsworthy, you're allowed to use some of the copyrighted content.
As long as they give you,
as long as they give me credit,
right.
and they don't reuse it repurposely, in a meaningful manner.
Right. Okay.
But I do want to say that there were many outlets that did it respectfully, and they did give me the credit for that. And there's one media company in particular called Cox Media Company, and they represent hundreds, and actually own hundreds of major radio stations around the country, as well as television news stations. So they end up using one of my videos of Quentin Tarver that I shot with him, and it ended up being close to 200 outlets across the world that ended up being on. So again, they gave me the credit for that, so I didn't pursue any legal action because they did honor Quentin in a respectful way.
Good,
So
good.
I'm happy.
Yeah, as long as they didn't use it for their own like personal gain.
Right. Well, of course they use a personal gain because they're media outlet.
Well, that's true.
But they did it
yeah.
respectfully, right? And that's
They're
what
not making money from the video doing that.
No,
right?
because they're using my video.
Right. Okay.
They're using my embed.
Gotcha.
So I can still control the video if I need to. Another outlet is called Independent, which is a major newspaper in the United Kingdom. And instead of a video, they actually use a photo instead, a photo that I took of Quentin.
Oh yeah.
You know,
wow.
which is one of the last photos that he took. Which is another major outlet, so I was proud of that. But I do want to say there was a number of outlets out there that were very disrespectful, and they used my content illegally,
Did they?
copyright infringement, and they used it for negative stories, right? Which and I've actually said this before. I have another program.
And they were
where
talking bad about him?
it's misinformation. That's what
Okay.
it is. Because you know how sometimes the media outlets don't know the story, right?
No.
And when you're a tabloid, they need to make it up because they don't know these people personally. They don't know the story. So there are some outlets out there that literally said, "Do not believe anything. Quentin is not dead." Right?
Wow.
So that's heartbreaking because obviously he did pass away, right? And they're using my photos to tell that story. That
Yeah, to
he's
tell
not
some
dead.
lie,
Negative
yeah.
things.
Right.
So I did not give them permission there. So they, again, you know, when things are out there and on the internet, people, you know, have ways of taking things illegally.
Yeah.
So I am pursuing them to copyright infringement, things like that for that.
It's kind of
Because-
annoying. You know, it worked in the opposite in this sense, but sometimes people will lie and say, "Oh, this guy died today. He died."
Yeah.
He died. But they're still alive. The celebrity will have to come out and be like, "No, I'm good. Like I didn't die." Like
Yeah. The thing that I didn't really like
it's
about
all
it
for
is-
attention.
The thing that I didn't really like about it is that obviously his family and friends are grieving over this, and
Yeah.
and
sure.
with me being a friend of his, and they're using my content to tell the negative story, it can be perceived as if I provided them
Right. Yeah.
that content to tell that negative story. When
Yeah.
I'm friends
They
with-
might assume like you gave it to them. You know.
which is not true.
Right.
It's not true at all, and that's heartbreaking because for them to tell the misinformation, especially when someone's died, kind of thing, it doesn't look good.
That's wrong.
So, and I don't want to be
Absolutely.
associated with things like that because that's not what the show stands for. My show does not have tabloid
Mm-hmm.
content. It doesn't have anything like that. You know, so so another person I'm going to acknowledge is Mary Wilson. So Mary Wilson is one of the founding members of the group Supremes. You know, with Diana Ross's Supremes.
Yeah.
She passed away, and again, that's among one of the last interviews that she did. I didn't actually release the footage yet. I'm going to release it very soon
Okay.
this year. But I actually traveled down to Dallas, Texas, and taped an interview with her at her concert. You know, I had backstage access. I was actually there with the Manhattans, which is another R&B soul group. I was there as a special guest of them to document their concert.
Yeah. What's the one that we went to? The Ladies of Sky.
Ladies of Sky.
Yeah.
Ladies of Sky, you know, they're the lead singers of the group Sky,
Right.
which is a band. So these are the three female singers as well as sisters.
Mhm.
And I've done a number of shows with them.
Yeah.
So actually the concert we did, we taped it in particular, outside of them being on my show as a guest anyway, we taped that for the TV show Unsung. You know, because sometimes when I'm taping my stuff, as you see, my content gets licensed
True.
to other major outlets. So this was particularly for the show Unsung, which is a very popular show. They've been on for over 10 years
Yeah.
on the TV1 network, which is a major network for Black entertainment. And it's a documentary series. So we were there to document their current, you know, performing status because they've been around for decades.
And we got to speak to them too, and they were really nice. I remember that.
Well, I mean, this was the first time you met them. I spoke to them many
Oh,
times.
true. Yeah, yeah.
You know.
But for me, no, I just remember them being very welcoming and
Yeah,
with open arms. You know,
they're always
hey,
running
like I'm
up
glad
there.
you're here, and yeah, that was cool. We got some good
Yeah.
footage from that.
So
day.
to that segment, we taped the entire concert. It was like maybe an hour and a half long.
Right.
The TV show only used 45 seconds of it. You know, they took the best 45 seconds
Oh,
they
okay,
want.
yeah.
But you know, we got the credit in the show, and
Yeah,
this is
that's
actually
great.
the second time I've worked with that show, and that's why we were there. Because I already had a relationship with the show, and it was just coincidence that they were going to be on the show. So when I was speaking to producers, I was like, you know, it's just a coincidence. That type of show, many of the guests on their show has also been guests on my show. So that's how I've had that relationship with them to say, well,
Small world.
yeah, well, it's the kind of thing where we serve the same kind of audiences sometimes,
Yeah,
right? And when I was talking to them, it's like, you know, I had the more recent things because they're telling the documentary side from decades to careers, but I had the most recent interviews, I had the most recent concert footage, so that's how I was able to get into those shows like that, right? And like the other show episode I did with them was for Kelly Price.
Yeah.
Kelly Price is a soul singer, and I used to work for Island Records as a publicist, you know, like many years ago, and in the late 90s, so it was like over 25 years ago, I took a photo, and this is like a big coincidence that this happened. I took a photo. I was in the studio with Kelly Price. At the time we call him Puff Daddy, but you know, he's called Diddy now, and Sean Puffy Combs.
Oh yeah.
And all of that. So I was in the studio with all of them. They were actually recording a gospel album at the time. It never came out, right? But that was his plan to do a gospel album. So she was singing on the album.
It never came out, but is it still available?
No, it's
somewhere?
not. It's not available. It's not coming.
You know what that made me think of? Sorry to interrupt you. Wu-Tang made this album that wasn't released. I think you told me this, but they sold it to like one person.
Yeah.
So one person has this album that no one's ever heard of, and it's from Wu-Tang, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole other story because the person who bought it actually is a con artist and he went to jail for pharmaceutical crimes.
What did he
You
do?
know, pharmaceutical crimes. something
Oh
like that.
God!
You know,
of all
he
people that
overpriced.
could have had possession of that album too. Like what a joke.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah. So it was you know, Kelly Price, Puff Daddy, and also Hezekiah Walker,
Oh,
which is a
okay.
famous gospel artist. So and also Stevie J, which is a producer of Notorious B.I.G. and all these people.
Mm.
He was there. So I took a photo of all of them, right? And literally, I never showed the photo to anybody, right? At the time, I had a magazine, and it was going to be in the magazine, but it never came out in that issue. But the photo was just sitting at my house really for 25 years. Never showed it to anybody, right? Coincidence, I went to school in upstate New York, and you know, there's an alumni group on Facebook.
Right.
So one day, some alumni person said he works for that network and that TV show, and is like, they need to get B-roll footage of the church that Kelly Price went to in Queens, and it wasn't necessarily feasible for them to fly all the way back from LA to New York just to get like
not.
a 1 minute of footage. So it was like, is anybody alumni could just go there and do it? I was like, sure, I'll do it, and I actually worked with them. so we go there.
It's pretty amazing.
So I go there. And actually, she wasn't there, but I actually went on a Sunday, and this was her grandfather's church.
Your grandfather's church?
Yeah. And or his grandfather or father, one or the other, right? But the church was still there, and the family members were there. So when they came out of service, they see me taping. They're like, "Well, why are you taping our building?" I'm like, "Well, I'm from Unsung." Right?
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, damn."
They got like excited. So then they started bringing out the parents. I think actually it was her parents
Yeah.
on there. So she brings them out, and then the cousins and all that, and I'm meeting everybody and everything. So then I send the footage to the show. They're all excited because I got to do it for them. Then I was like, by the way, I have this photo that no one's ever seen before, and if you tell the story, this is the real story, because we're talking about an album that never came out.
Right.
We're talking about Puff Daddy when he was first starting, right? And all that. And this is a historic photo because everyone in the photo is somebody that's really big right now.
Right.
And I was there and I took this photo. So they loved it.
It's probably an iconic photo now,
It is
right?
iconic.
Yeah.
Because it was definitely the reason Kelly Price was there to begin with, because remember, she sang vocals on this Notorious B.I.G. song, More Money, More Problems.
Okay.
She was the one that sang the song, you know, and so she worked a lot with them and everything. And I was there because she was an artist on Island Records, and I was a publicist for Island Records. So I got to talk to her beforehand, and she invited me, her husband at the time, you know, invited me to the studio. And coincidentally, I was working with Hezekiah Walker's brother, you know, Richard Walker, and you know, and some members of the choir, you know, things like this. So it was interesting, you know. So you know, again, it's one of those things like you can take footage,
once in a lifetime.
You never know when it's going to come out.
Yeah.
So it's luckily I kept the photo, and you know, this was back when there was no cell phone cameras or anything. So I'm there with 35 millimeter.
What year was this?
It's probably like 1995, 96.
1990. Okay.
So
I was just 2 years old.
But so you can imagine, I kept this photo, and you know, I have lots of footage like that, you know, from back then too. Because again, there was no social media, so there was no place to put things, right? And even to develop it, like nowadays, you can just take the photos digitally. Right. You actually had to go to the Kodak store.
Oh yeah, and then now it's so much easier to do everything with that.
You had to go to the Kodak store and hope that the film comes out right, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, I was never crazy about film cameras.
So, but I have a few things like that, like the historic, you know.
I wanted to mention too, Shefik, you know, besides working for NBC and having your own show, you're a part of the Emmys in New York.
Yeah, and actually the Emmys in California also.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a member of the Emmys, right? There's actually multiple organizations, but they're all the Emmys, right? The first one is the main one that people really know, which is the Television Academy.
Right.
And that's primarily, they serve the primetime Emmys, which is what you see, you know, every year, kind of thing. I'm a member of that. I've been a member for like the past 4 years of that. And I'm also a member of the East Coast side of it, and they primarily serve the daytime Emmys. So depending on where your genre is in television, there's different Emmy organizations that serve you, you know, for that. Right. There's also the international Emmys. You know, I'm not a member of that yet, but the difference is that I'm very close to the people here in New York, obviously with us being here, and I took you to the office.
Yeah, not only, you took me to the office, and they had like legit actual Emmy trophies that we hold. They're heavy as hell, you know. It's no joke.
Well, legit. I mean, it's the Emmys office.
Yeah,
so of course they're gonna have Emmys there.
But we also together, me, you, and a few members of the Emmys, we went to Tonight Show with Stephen Colbert.
It's not the Tonight Show. It's the Late Show.
The Late Show.
The Late Show with Stephen Colbert on CBS.
Yeah. Brian Cranston was the guest. That was really cool.
Yes.
And we sat at his desk afterwards. We didn't. Did we meet him or did we? He did say kind of came up for a minute. Right?
See, the thing with Stephen Colbert, he's a very nice guy, but he doesn't necessarily like to engage with the audience. People. We were actually their special guests because part of being a member of the Emmys, you have access to certain privileges or kind of special events that they just do for us as Emmy members. Right. So this is one of the things, right? Because we want to share experiences in television, right? And it's a unique experience for people, you know, for us. So we were there as a group, and as a group, we were only scheduled to go on stage to take photos, you know, at the desk. But the show just ended, and Stephen Colbert was still walking around behind it, and he saw us there, and he decided to come up and just say hi. And he typically
that was pretty exciting, man. So, that was a good day.
It's good. So we sat in
helicopter.
we sat in this chair, and I, you know, took a photo with you in the chair.
We got some nice pictures. It was pretty cool.
So I get to do a lot of you know, things like that. Shout out to Phyllis Bishop. So she is someone.
She's a nice lady.
Yes, she's the one who helps organize all these events that she invites me to go to all the time. Not only the television shows, but also movie screens and things like that. And she's a great person to know. And
Yeah, we
very
saw
connected.
we saw the Rock's show, the one when he was in the big apartment building, the tower. What was that
Yeah.
called?
I forgot the one. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's been several years ago.
It was it's like not that old. It was a decent movie. I remember. Yeah. And then we saw How to Train Your Dragon
Yeah.
2 or 3, whatever. Yeah, that was cool. We almost could have went to go see recently Fast and Furious. Was that because of that too?
Yes.
I felt bad. I don't know. I ended up not going, but you went, right?
I went.
It was good?
It was good. I mean,
They're going to space now. I don't know what the hell's.
it wasn't a whole movie about space. It's just I don't
Right,
want to give it all away.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But it is part of it, but it's not what it's about.
Okay. Well,
So-
yeah, it shouldn't be. Yeah, I mean that would be ridiculous.
No, it was an interesting movie, and it's a very powerful franchise. You know, this is the 9th movie.
Yeah, I know.
For it, and I think they're going to do more.
How many more?
I don't know. But of course, full disclosure, I work for a company that does those movies.
You know, technically they have 10 because they have 9, and then they have the spin-off, Hobbs and Shaw. So technically there's 10 in that universe.
Yeah, interesting. So it's exciting. You know, we get to do things like that, and obviously with COVID, things like that slowed down.
Unfortunately, yes.
It's starting to pick up again, where I'm starting to get invited to things.
Yeah, it's good.
You know, my activities didn't really slow down as much because everything got switched to virtual. So I still did things throughout the past, 2020 and throughout part of this year where did virtual events, hosted virtual events for different organizations and been a part of.
That's
things.
good. At least you could still be active. I feel like it's actually been a minute since we've been able to do something together, in that sense, like record, film, something. But, but we've always still kept in touch, no matter what. That's what matters.
Yes.
One last thing I wanted to mention before we finish. The cool thing that we did is that we went to the Lights Fest in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
We took a
Lights
drive
Fest.
out there. It's basically a big festival in the middle of this open field, and there was live music. You get food there, you get chill, and you're there with your friends, maybe family, who knows. I was with Shefik and your two friends.
Yeah.
And yeah, so once the sun sets, it's nighttime, you have these lanterns that you light with fire, and you let them go, and they just float up in the air, and there was thousands of them. It was beautiful, honestly. I posted a vlog about it too. I remember a while back when we went, and it was nice. It's funny, every time I think about that though, my first lantern that I had there, I wrote all this meaningful stuff on it. I was like, oh, yeah, my family, friends, I love this, that, hope for good things in my life, whatever. And then it went up in flames. I did it wrong, I don't know, and it burned. It was just oh my God, it was so embarrassing. I was like, is that my hopes and dreams right there in flames? Unbelievable. But then I got a second chance because they had an extra one, so I was able to do it. No, overall it was really exciting, and one of the big things that you got to do is speak on stage, and I think I was on stage with you for a minute.
Yeah.
In front of how many people?
Yeah, so interesting backstory about the Lights Fest. The reason why we're there, we actually were invited guests as part of the entourage for the Morgan Reed Medical Foundation,
Right.
which is what we talked about earlier.
Yeah,
help
Stride,
support autism awareness, things like that. So Alyssa Lego was scheduled to speak to the crowd that was attending. She was running late, so she asked me to speak on her behalf of the organization. So, mind you, I've spoken at their events before because I'm the host of their in-person events anyway. So,
But that was the biggest crowd you've ever talked in front
It was
of,
the biggest crowd. There was 8,000 people.
Holy hell.
8,000 people. So
8,000 people staring at Shefik and I, baby.
So we go up there, and obviously they say my name wrong. I had to correct the lady on stage.
Not the first time Shefik has had to do that before.
So it happens a lot, but it's
a unique name, man. You said it's Arabic, right?
It's Arabic.
Yeah.
So I go up there. I do the speech for a few minutes. So I wasn't nervous or anything.
No.
I've been on stage before many times. Obviously not this big of a crowd.
Yeah.
But I've done these type of things before, so it's very natural for me. Not to say I don't get nervous sometimes, but I'm used to being on stage in a certain extent. But it was one of those moments that don't come very often, right? Because I was there for positivity, to represent a cause that I support, and to share that moment with you, and the people that were there with me.
Thank you for inviting me, man.
Patty was also there, with us. Patty Sands, she's one of the production assistants on the crew for the show, for my show.
Mm-hmm.
So I was glad that we got to all share this moment together and what it really meant for the Lights Fest. Because as you mentioned, we write these motivational messages or these kind of thoughts that we have on the lanterns that we put up in the air, and it's a very powerful moment for us to be sharing it, because you spend all day there. You spend all day there wandering this big field, and then the final moment is really just this last 1 minute where you light the lantern. Yeah. Right? But it's that one moment that you have 8,000 people waiting for, right? And they're all sharing their hopes and dreams, aspirations. Right. And just letting it go, to say, putting it out there in the universe, to say, this is what I want for my life. This is the one for the lives of people around me. And it's a very powerful moment to put it out into existence and ignite it. It's a symbolism of igniting it into flames and hoping, igniting it would bring something else to fruition. So it was good.
We interviewed a few people, actually. I remember that. And one of the guys that we spoke to, I think he was one of the organizers or someone that basically just helps out every time they do it. Yeah. I remember him telling me how his son passed away, and I think his son was very young, maybe like 5 years old, something like that. So I remember him telling us how the Lights Fest, every time he lets a lantern off into the sky, it's in honor of his son that passed away. It's a terrible thing that happened, but an event like this brings everyone together, and it's, we're all there for. I'm sure a lot of people have, people that they lost and they honor by letting the lantern up in the sky. I guess you could say I did that too. I have a friend that passed away. Yep. So, yeah, I remember talking to him about that, and it was really, it was very personal, and he was very open about it, and I was really appreciative that he was okay with that, and I respected his,
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting moment, and we've shared a lot of interesting moments throughout the years we've known each other, and it's obviously it all became because of my show, right? And and this is one of the reasons.
You've come a long way.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why I created a show is to engage with people in an interesting kind of way and have interesting conversations and be in unique situations, that I would not have been in otherwise, right? It's being prepared for the moment, and there's a lot more to come. I have a lot more coming up that I've scheduled.
That's why your slogan is the journey continues.
No, the journey continues right here and everywhere. That's the full slogan.
Hell yeah, it does.
So it's 5 years.
Oh, there's the last ferry.
So I would say my goal is to do the show for 20 years.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yes. I've said this from the beginning that this is a 20-year journey.
So 15 more to go.
15 more to go, and I already have ideas for the very last episode.
Yeah.
Because again, the show, itself is.
But that's undisclosed right now.
It's undisclosed. Just so
we get maybe a hint.
Just so people understand what the show is. It's called Invocation. Shefik presents Invocation.
Yeah.
And it's about life journeys. I give people topics, like one-word topics, and they speak on that one-word topic, something meaningful in their lives. It could be a mantra, it could be an experience, something they observed, and they tell it, their story. I don't appear on camera with them. At the time, it's just them, their story, and they have to say completely for like 2 to 3 minutes, whatever that story is.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And that's on the video side of it. I take the video, take the audio from that, and edit it into a radio show, half hour, 1 hour radio show.
Mm-hmm.
The radio show itself is a music-based show. So when you listen to the entire radio show, I take that story and match it with a song.
Right.
Right? And then if you listen to the whole hour, you get various perspectives about the various topics.
It's honestly genius, man. I don't think I've ever really like told you how incredible it really is, you know.
Thanks.
No, and you do it pretty much all by yourself. Well, in a way, you know, you have people that do help you, but you know, but at the end of the day, like you started this on your own, you know.
I started on my own, and it's about my own life journey and how I'm progressing in my life.
Yeah.
And in order for me to further that journey, I need to see where other people are positioned in their journey. Because
I like that.
That's how you have a full and robust, complete journey, by understanding all directions and perspectives in that. Because then you value the life that you've led. You know, when you value other people's
Very
lives.
inspirational.
Well, that's what the show's about. It's about inspirational, and it echoes my sentiments and how I want to perceive people, and I want people to perceive me. And that's why I give them the stage, and here's a platform to speak. And lots of interesting things have come out. And again, like I said, the very last episode, I already have my thoughts. Because the thing is, with this music-based show, I don't tell the guest what songs I'm going to play in the song. They never know, right? Or they seldom know. If it's a music artist that's talking about the story of their song, obviously they know for that song.
Right.
But they seldom know. And the guests seldom know the other guests that are going to be in the same episode as them, right? Because I don't want the lyrics of the song to influence what they're going to say, right? That's one thing. And then I want another guest's name to make someone else feel intimidated by saying, well, why did you pick me when you have this person?
That makes sense.
You know, or maybe they spoke better than I. It's not about that. It's about your story, how you live your life and your experience, and let's capture that moment and celebrate that.
Man.
Right? So it's been interesting, and I don't seldom know the story they're going to tell fully, right? Because it's the way I do it. It's very organic, you know, the way we do the tapings, and so many interesting things come out. I've had people who wanted to commit suicide that reveal that. I had people who have gone through sexual abuse, you know, substance abuse. I've had people who are murderers on the show, literally murderers, went to jail, you know, and all that. So I've had people who have revealed so many things about their lives, and they trusted me.
Right, that maybe they wouldn't feel they didn't feel comfortable talking about in the past, but with you,
certainly,
they
I know they
did
did because they tell me that.
Wow.
Right, but the comfort level I give them when they do a show, it worked out, and they trust the process, which is important, and they know that I'm not going to misuse their information in a negative way, because I don't edit their content, right? It's all single take kind of things. We may do multiple takes of it, right? But it's all one take. When it goes in,
you know, I do kind of like how you're not in the interview with them. You know, like you don't even hear Shefik asking them the questions. It's just like you're not even you're practically not even there, basically.
Yes, but that's very intentional. Obviously, we have conversations off camera.
Yeah.
When the camera's not rolling, because let's say if we do multiple takes, let's say we do one take. I feel that there could be more story to be pulled out. So we have conversations off camera, and then when the camera rolls again, they're able to tell the story. So it's not to say I'm putting words in their mouth. I'm helping to tell them it's okay to tell the story.
Right.
Right. And the story comes out, you know, that way. You know, mosquitoes. You know,
literally, like you can't avoid it here. You got birds, you got helicopters, you got whatever the hell that is.
We are in the middle of nature and everything on an island, so what do you expect?
So I guess you can't complain about it.
Now they stopped because they heard you.
Yeah, he saw me pick up the stick.
So,
anyway, is there any last words you'd like to say before we finish?
The last word is always the word, the journey continues right here and everywhere. Thank you for being part of the journey. 5 years.
Thank you for all the opportunities, man. It's honestly changed my life in many ways.
There's more adventures, you know, to have. One of the goals of the show is to go to every 50 state, United States.
Oh yeah?
I probably did about 7 or 8 so far.
Okay.
But eventually I want to go there and travel.
I like that. It's a good bucket list, man.
Because I want to, document people from those areas too.
Right.
And it's not just about celebrities. I've had doctors on there, politicians, all types of people on there, and it's real human condition and what that means. So it's good to celebrate that. So.
Once again, Shefik, thank you for coming on. This was long overdue, like I said earlier, but we finally did it.
Yes.
And I want to thank you guys again for watching another episode of Actually Anything. Good night.